Hello boys and girls, welcome back to From the Stands. Today we are doing our Premier League predictions. Now it's going to transition between me and Harvey. Here's a little message from Harvey.
Yes, boys. So today we've got my Prem predictions, and you know what? I think I've smashed them. I think they're pretty bang on.
Now I've got all of mine written down on a whiteboard, little flash. Whoop. If you pause, that pretty much ruined the video for me, but luckily you've still got Harvey's stupid predictions. We did try and record this in a podcast, but my audio wasn't recording. That's all fixed now, so the podcast is not over. But yeah, if we get straight into it, my bottom three, well, we'll start from the bottom, in the words of Drake. Sheffield United, I'm pretty sure Harvey's got the same in 20th. Pretty self-explanatory. I don't really think they've improved since going down. Yeah. Who have I got 19th? I've got Bournemouth. Bournemouth 19th. I think they made a big mistake sacking Gary O'Neill. If they didn't sack Gary O'Neill, I'd probably have them 18th. I think they did very well last season to stay up. I still think they were very lucky, though, in certain ways. Kind of the fixture list. And you could tell they weren't great because only Frank Lampard only won one game in charge of Chelsea, and it was Bournemouth. So for that reason, they're going down. 18th, Wolves. Now Luke Bennett's not going to be happy with this one. I've got Wolves because they've been on the slow decline for a few years, and no one's really noticed it. Like they were getting Europa League a few years ago. Now, where'd they finish last season? I think around 15th, around that area. And I think losing their best player, Ruben Neves, they're going to struggle, and I've actually got them 18th.
So let's start. 20th, I've got Sheffield United. I think they haven't really improved their squad so far in the transfer window. I think I've seen that they've sold one of their best players to Marseille, and yeah, just haven't really improved. I still think they've got a very championship level side. So yeah, got them bottom. 19th, I've got Nottingham Forest. I think especially if they lose Brennan Johnson to Brentford, that's a huge blow for them because he's one of their best players. Haven't really improved. Were quite bad last year considering they spent a lot of money. Just don't really see them improving. Can see them going down. So yeah, got them 19th. 18th, I've got Luton. I think, yeah, again, still got a very championship level side really. But I just think the spirit and the thing, everyone wanted them in the Premier League. I think the spirit and the fight will not keep them up, but make them do okay in the Premier League. But I still think they'll go back down. They haven't got enough quality to stay up, I don't think.
Oh my god, Harvey Whittaker does not know ball, does he? But 17th, 16th, 17th Forest, 16th Luton. I've only got Luton 16th based off this theory I've got of the teams that come up that haven't been up for a while, like Forest, Huddersfield, even Sheffield United when they first come up. They normally have an alright first season, and then second season they're straight back down. And that's what I think is going to happen with Luton. I know they're spending a lot of money on getting their stadium done to fit like Sky Sports needs, but yeah, I can see them staying up. Tai Chong, good signing. I don't think he's Prem quality. Maybe the Premier League can mould him into Prem quality. But to be honest, I am a United fan, and I didn't even realise he'd left permanently. I knew he was at Birmingham, but I didn't realise he'd gone permanently because he went on loan a few years ago there. He must join them permanently. He's no longer there. Yeah, 16th Luton, 17th Forest, same place as last season, just about missing out on relegation. I think it's to be close like this season. Forest and Wolves is going to be the new Leicester and Everton. Talking of Everton, I've got them 15th. Everton, I would have picked them to go down, but I think the lower half of this table is some of the worst we've had in the Premier League in years, and I think Everton have got a bit more quality than all those teams, so I think they should stay up.
17th, I've got Bournemouth. I think that they shouldn't have got rid of Gary O'Neill. I think that was a mistake. I think they did very well last year to stay up under him. Proved to be a decent manager for them. Don't know why they sacked him. I think I saw Bournemouth fans complaining it was something to do with his football was too negative or something. But yeah, they seem to have got a decent manager in, and they've got some decent players. They proved that last year. I like Solanke from the Chelsea academy. He's very good, young striker. Well, he's not young anymore, I don't think. But yeah, good striker. Decent players. I think they'll just do enough to stay up. Okay, 16th. People say this one's controversial, but I've got Palace. And the reason I've got Palace is because although Palace have got some very good players, the likes of Eze and Elise, players like that, I think they're only a few injuries away from being a championship level side, in my opinion. Especially if Elise and Eze, because they're both quite injury prone. They've been quite injured quite a bit for Palace so far since they've been there. If both of them get injured, they could struggle. And I've seen links as well for Zaha to Palace, Zaha to Saudi as well. So yeah, I just think they could struggle a lot, especially if they get injuries. And I think, although Roy Hodgson, he's doing well for his age, I think he's a bit past it. And I don't think they'll go down, but I think they'll just have enough quality just to stay up. They'll be okay. 15th, I've got Wolves. I know they've lost Ruben Neves, but you know what? I think they'll do okay. Don't think they'll do amazing, obviously, but I think they've got enough quality still to just stay up in the league. You know, they've got lots of Guedes. I think he's still there anyway. You know, you got who've Wolves got nowadays? I can't remember, but I just know they've got quite a few good, you know, Portuguese players. They all seem the same who signed for Wolves. They got a few good enough quality to stay up. Quite like Podence and Guedes is still there. He's a quality player. Yeah, I just think they'll do enough to stay up. Got a good manager as well, that Lopetegui, very good manager.
Burnley 14th. I reckon they're a bit of a surprise package this season. They looked really good in the Championship last season. Vince Kompany did a great job with them, and yeah, 14th for me. 13th, Crystal Palace. Now, they're always around there. Roy Hodgson is still the manager. How is that man? I mean, he looks like he's on death's door, to be fair. He's done a great job at Crystal Palace. I feel like that goes under the radar. He's done a phenomenal job at Crystal Palace. But they've got some great talent. They've still got Zaha somehow. They've got Elise, Eze, all this great talent, and I can see them even potentially coming 12th, even though 12th I've got West Ham, which I could see swapping around. West Ham have just lost their best player. It was announced the day I am recording this that he is gone. Arsenal haven't made the official announcement yet, but it should be coming soon. West Ham have done their goodbye message. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about why West Ham 12th. West Ham are 12th because they have got European football. It's not like they looked great last season. People sugarcoat their last season because they won the Conference League. I mean, if 80% of these teams are in the Conference League, they would have won it, let's be honest. But yeah, West Ham 12th. I mean, they finished 14th last season. That's an upgrade somehow, but by process of elimination at some sorts, they are 12th. 11th, I've got a team I would have had much higher, but they've just sold their best player. It's Fulham. Mitrovic is going to Saudi. I wonder, out of all this list, how many teams haven't sold a player to Saudi. Maybe we'll do it one day on the channel. But Fulham had a great last season, had a phenomenal. No one expected them to have a season like last season. They finished above their main rivals, Chelsea. No one associates them with Chelsea anymore because they say, oh, they're too far clear. Fulham finished above Chelsea last season. Yeah, I feel like they still have a decent season. They'll have Willian, they'll have Vinicius isn't a bad striker. They had to have a lot of games last season without Mitrovic because he had a suspension from the FA Cup game against Manchester United. But yeah, Fulham, I expect them to have another great season.
14th, I've got Everton. Having Everton, I mean, this is a process of elimination, really. I mean, I think Everton have got some quality compared to the sides lower than them. Yeah, I just think that they'll do okay under Sean Dyche, but obviously Sean Dyche is a good manager, you know, keeping teams up. But I just don't think he'll make them push on to where they want to be with the new stadium and that coming in next season. Yeah, they've still got some quality players, but yeah, I think they'll do okay, but they won't do anything special this season. 13th, I've got Fulham. I think Fulham had a very good year last year, proved everyone wrong. Loads of people had them predicted to get relegated, and they pushed on and did really well, got mid-table. But yeah, the reason I've got them lower is because I've seen they might lose Willian, who was one of their best players last year. Could go on his way to Nottingham Forest. But also they could, big one that's come out today, I've seen, they could lose Mitrovic. I've seen these agreed personal terms with a Saudi club, and if they lose Mitrovic, that's a lot of goals they're losing in their side. So yeah, that's why I've got them a bit lower this season. 12th, I've got Brentford. Brentford are a very good side, very well organised, got a good manager. I rate their manager, Thomas Frank, very good. But the reason I've got them assume people got him a bit higher, but the reason I've got him 12th is because obviously they haven't got Ivan Toney until January, and that's like a 20-goal striker they're losing. So they'll lose out on a lot of goals up until January next season, and that's if Ivan Toney comes back and starts scoring, or he leaves because he's been linked with Chelsea as well. But yeah, I think they'll do okay. They look like they might get Brennan Johnson from Forest. So if they get him, that's a good addition, but I don't think he'll bring the goals that Ivan Toney will up until January. But so yeah, 11th, this would be my surprise of the season, my team of the season. I've got Burnley. Very good side last year in the Championship under Vincent Kompany, and I just think they'll come into the Premier League and do very well. You know, decent little side, especially if they sign Ian Maatsen back. I don't think that's looking likely at the moment. I think Pochettino wants to keep him at Chelsea, but yeah, a decent side, and they've got a goat back, Wout Weghorst. What a player! Joking, obviously, but yeah, decent side Burnley. I think they'll do very well under Kompany next season.
10th, my 10th is Brentford. Had a great season last season. People think, oh, they're going to stink this season because of no Ivan Toney. You're forgetting about people like Mbayu. They've still got world-class talent. Well, not world-class. Great talent. And I think they're going to be, especially when Toney comes back, people are saying he's going to leave in January. I don't think he'll leave in January. People are linking him with Chelsea. That would be a shame, wouldn't it? But yeah, Brentford, 10th. Expect them to have a good season next season, just like last season. 9th, I've got Simple Simon's favourite place, Brighton. They have lost McAllister, looking like they're going to lose Caicedo. I mean, if I was Caicedo, I would not move to Chelsea. Like, what are you going to get in return? You could help Brighton in the Europa League, but Europa League, European football will be a big factor for a lot of these teams and the predictions I've done. And Brighton, I've got 9th because it is a new environment for them, and without their best players, maybe they'll struggle a bit with depth, but we know Brighton are great with finding young talent, just phenomenal talent out of nowhere. Like, I feel like they could just take someone who gets picked last in PE and turn them into a Ballon d'Or contender. Like, that's, I don't know how they do it. They keep getting away with it.
10th, I've got West Ham. I mean, obviously the big one, they're losing Declan Rice, but I think they're linked with that Alvarez from Ajax, who's a decent CDM. Chelsea were linked with him at one point, so you know, he's a decent CDM. Obviously not Declan Rice level, but yeah, I think they'll do okay next season. West Ham, they got like some decent players. Like, I love Paqueta. Paqueta's an amazing player. They got Euro. I just think they've got some good players, and you know they've lost. You know they've got decent players like Paqueta, Bowen, and that. But I just think they'll drop off a little bit because you know they've got even though they've got European football, and that always, you know, when you haven't got enough depth, that always sort of brings the levels down during the season. Yeah, although they've got some good players, you know, they've lost Declan Rice, bit of European football. I think they'll do okay, but I think 10th's fair enough for West Ham. 9th, I've got Brighton, which might be surprising. People might have them higher. The reason I've got them 9th is because I still think that's a decent finish for them next season. You know, top half of the table, not bad. I just think that they've never really had European football before, and you know, I think they'll struggle a bit, especially this is the thing with these teams. I think they'll struggle with the depth of the use in European football. I think Brighton won't struggle a lot, but they'll struggle a little bit with like balancing the books with players and fitness and all that, with the depth of their players, you know. I think they'll do okay. Again, 9th's a fair place finish them, I think, but yeah, I just think they won't do as well as they did last season. Especially they're going to lose. They've lost McAllister. They're probably going to lose Caicedo. But yeah, still Brighton 9th. I think it's a decent finish for them.
But yeah, 8th I've got Spurs. Don't cry in the comments. That's where you finished last season. You haven't made any real improvements except James Maddison. Harry Kane might be leaving. Most likely won't. So Tottenham fans, don't cry about this one. You're very lucky you're there, to be fair. Talking of crying, I've got Chelsea 7th. Arvie was not happy when I said about it in the podcast, but I think 7th would be a good thing for Chelsea. Let's not forget what happened at the end of last season. They finished 12th. The players didn't want to be there. Full rebuild. The club's a mess. The club is a mess. You don't realise this. This is so much easier to do without Harvey crying back at me. Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's just, I think it would be a good season. Their main focus should be to get the club back on target, not to be challenging for titles. That's what Ten Hag did really well at United. He was like, straight away, I'm not going for the title, even though we were challenging for the title a bit at some point last season. But yeah, I just don't think they should be pushing for that. I feel like they should be trying to fix the club, get the players in the right place, and then end of the season they should be striving to they want players that want to play, pretty much. They need to get the club and the mentality of the players in a better place. And I think 7th is a good realistic finish for them. Alright, Chelsea fans, I'm not lying. That'll be a good finish for you.
8th, I've got Spurs. The only real good signing they've made is Maddison, and you need a lot more than that from last season, because they were same as Chelsea last season. They were terrible. Not as bad as Chelsea, obviously, but they were still bad. They need a lot more than Maddison to strengthen this summer, and their attack wasn't really the problem last year. It was their midfield and defence. They need to sort that out, and they really haven't. I mean, Maddison's a bit of midfielder, but he's, you needed like more your DMs, needed sorting out in your centre backs, and I know they're linked with a few centre backs, but no one of real proper quality that they needed to get. And I just think, I don't know enough about their manager or anything. I think the teams above them have got way better managers, and yeah, I just think 8th place is fair for Tottenham. I think they haven't strengthened enough, and they'll do okay. 7th, I've got Villa. I just think the 7th's a decent place for Villa. That's a decent finish for them. I know they've signed, obviously, Tielemans is a brilliant signing from Leicester. Signed Pau Torres from Villarreal, brilliant player, brilliant centre-back. Linked with Diaby as well from Leverkusen. If they get him, that's another brilliant signing. Got an amazing manager as well. I rate Unai Emery a lot. But same time, I think 7th place is a decent finish for them. I don't think they'll really finish any higher. They've got European football as well, and I think they'll struggle a little bit balancing that. But still, I think 7th place will be okay. You never know, they might win the Conference League. They probably will, them or Juventus. So if they do that, it'll be a decent season. 7th place finish and Conference League. Be a good season for Villa.
6th, I've got Aston Villa. Now, some of the signings they've made, Yuri Tielemans, Pau Torres, strengthening the areas where they are a bit weaker. Unai Emery is a phenomenal manager. He didn't do too well when he was the manager of Arsenal, but he's proven himself as the manager of Aston Villa. I mean, the signings they've made haven't really lost anyone big. Ollie Watkins, what a striker. Leon Bailey, they got out on the wing as well. They got Jacob Ramsey coming back. I really rate Jacob Ramsey. I can see him maybe even leaving next summer, because Jacob Ramsey's good. But yeah, Villa 6th. They will have Conference League. I've had a look at the teams, and I think Juventus are in it. I think Juventus will most likely win that. If Juventus don't win it, then it's stupid, because they should. But yeah, Villa 6th.
6th, I've got Newcastle. Again, like, very good first 11, signing decent players. Like Tonali's a brilliant signing. They're probably going to go and sign more, but they need to sign real quality to convince me, I think. Tonali is a real quality signing, but I don't think they haven't really been linked with anyone else that's like that quality. I mean, they're linked with Harvey Barnes, but he got relegated last year with Leicester. He's good, but not that good. Yeah, I just think they'll struggle a little bit with the depth. I think if one of their midfielders like Bruno Guimaraes or Tonali gets injured, like, they're going to bring in Longstaff for a Champions League game. I just don't think they'll survive, really. I don't think they'll struggle loads, but I just think they'll struggle a little bit. Which I think 6th will be a good. I think Newcastle fans would happily take that 6th place with Champions League football this season. I think that's a decent finish for them. I rate Eddie Howe as well, very good manager. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. Ben isn't going to like this one. You probably edit something here. But yeah, 5th place, I've got Man United. Ooh, I know, shocker. Don't cry, Ben. Right, but let me explain. I think that obviously the big thing is they've still got the Glazers. I think Man United fans were expecting they'd be under new ownership this summer and have a really good summer and push on next year under Erik ten Hag's second season. And I rate Ten Hag. I think he's a great manager, but with the Glazers in charge, you're not really getting any good backing like that you want. Like, I'm sure Erik ten Hag wanted Kane and Osimhen, but they've gone out and they're linked with Højlund or Taremi from Porto. Like, these are not the players Ten Hag wants. I mean, they're players he wants on a budget, but I expect Ten Hag wanted new ownership, and with that new ownership, he wanted a Kane or Osimhen, but he's not getting that because of the Glazers. And I think with Kane, if they got Kane or Osimhen, I think they would have convinced me and obviously finished quite comfortably in the top 4. Maybe even challenge a little bit. I don't think they would have, but comfortably top 4. But yeah, I rate Erik ten Hag, but yeah, I just think I just don't think they need to prioritise a striker this summer, and they haven't done that. Even if it's a low quality one, they needed to prioritise that, and they haven't. They went and signed Mason Mount, who was terrible last year for Chelsea. I think it's an okay signing for Man United. He's not really an upgrade on Eriksen. He's a bit of an upgrade, but not a lot. I think Man United found to get a big reality check when it comes to that signing a few months into the season. But yeah, I just also as well the CDM, they needed a backup CDM for Casemiro, because if Casemiro gets injured, who have you got? McTominay? No, sorry. That's why I think they'll finish 5th. I still think they'll have a decent season, maybe win the FA Cup or something, but yeah, 5th place finish is good for them.
Newcastle 5th. Now 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th could all swap around at any point in time, because I feel like 2nd to 5th is untouchable. I know that a certain someone has put Manchester United 5th, and for that I will be finding him and I will be killing him. But yeah, I just think, again, like I said with Brighton, I feel like it's a new environment for a lot of the players, European football, and 5th I still think is a good finish for them, shows the progression of the club, and it's only one space down from last season, and they will have an extra game every week, so it will test their depth, test their fight. I mean, I could see them getting top 4, but by process of elimination I've got them 5th. 4th I've got Arsenal. Now this may be a bit of bias because I'm a Manchester United fan, but yeah, I think they've made great signings. Declan Rice, Timber, good signings. I still feel like if they want to challenge for titles, Jesus isn't the striker that could challenge for titles with them. I feel like Saka, phenomenal. Martinelli, phenomenal. I think Jesus is good. I feel like they need an out-and-out striker. I feel like Jesus isn't an out-and-out striker. But yeah, again, I can see them finishing 2nd, 3rd, 4th, even 5th. But I've got them 4th. Champions League, not too bad of a season.
4th, I've got Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, some people might get a bit rowdy about people. People might think I'm being fair. It's kind of mixed with Chelsea this season. You don't really know where they're going to finish. But I think they'll finish 4th because the main thing, Pochettino, brilliant manager coming in, great appointment, brilliant with young players when we've got such a young squad. Second reason is we've got no European football, so we can just prioritise the league up until January because we've only got one game a week. And some brilliant additions in as well. And Kunku, Jackson looks like a good young striker from Villarreal. Scored 12 goals last year when he started in 9 games or something like that. Looks like a decent young striker. If we get another striker in, that could be really good as well. Yeah, some very decent. If we get Casado as well, brilliant midfielder last year for Brighton. Yeah, just some decent signings, I think, and I think Chelsea will be a bit of a surprise to everyone this season. I think we'll get top 4. I don't think we'll finish any higher than 4th, but I think we'll get top 4.
3rd, I've got Manchester United. I feel like what we're doing is trying to add depth. I feel like I don't like the sale of De Gea, but I'd like to see how Onana gets on. Onana hasn't been announced yet, even by Romano, but could be today, could be tomorrow, could be any time. By the time you're watching this, it probably has been. But yeah, I'm excited for the new season. Again, I'm annoyed that we haven't got a striker. That should have been number 1 priority over a goalkeeper. But yeah, no De Gea for the first time in over 12 years. It's going to be a weird experience for the boys. But I'll back them to get 3rd, potentially 2nd, maybe 4th. I don't see 5th in the picture though. I can't see 5th in the picture. Mason Mount, I'm excited to see how he does. I'm hoping he plays in that Eriksen role a bit behind Bruno. And yeah, I'm excited for the new season. 2nd, I've got Liverpool. I think at the end of last season they looked really good, and I think they've strengthened in the areas where they're weak. I still think they need to sign a CDM. They need a CDM because all of their midfielders are kind of attacking minded. They don't have a defensive midfielder. Fabinho, he's going. Henderson's going. And I feel like CDM is needed to strengthen that midfield, because the midfield has always been that weak spot these past few years. Maybe even slot Trent in there and getting you right back. I know a lot of people are hyping Trent at centre mid. We'll see. But yeah, Liverpool second. And first, no surprise. Oil Money, AFC, Manchester City. They've just got too much depth, too much quality. All of that. You've heard it everywhere. I'd love for any of you to find any Premier League predictions where someone hasn't put Manchester City first. I'd love it.
Yeah. So this is where it comes to my top 3. I mean, you could really, with this top, it's the same with the 6th. For me, it's the same with the 6th to 4th. You could really mix this around any way you wanted. But same with the top 3. So, third, I have gone with Arsenal. And I know Arsenal fans might, I give up on Arsenal fans, but they might be like, oh, third, but we've signed Rice, Timber, and Havertz. Okay, Havertz is a dreadful signing, start off, because he's been terrible. I've explained this in a TikTok. If you want to go see my TikTok, it's like a few videos down. But I explained why Havertz and Mount is a terrible signing for Arsenal and Man United. But yeah, they're terrible. I think Havertz is a terrible stuff. 65 million. How Chelsea got that back for him, I don't know, because he's been terrible. Like for the 3 seasons he's been at Chelsea, and I don't know what Arteta sees in him. Because I mean, when he had his debut yesterday, he looked dreadful as he was at Chelsea last season and all the seasons before. And I know he won us the Champions League, but still, he was dreadful even in that season he won the Champions League. Yeah, I don't rate Havertz as a sign-in. Although, going on to more positive news for Arsenal fans, I do like the signings of Declan Rice and Jurrien Timber. Declan Rice, obviously quality for many seasons now in the Premier League with West Ham. I think this is the right time for him to move, take that step up to a top 6 club, and play in the Champions League. I think this is the right move for him. Yeah, Arsenal, good side last year, so I can understand why he's moved there. Yeah, very good signing for Arsenal. Big upgrade on Granit Xhaka, huge upgrade. Yeah, and then Jurrien Timber, brilliant centre back. I know Erik ten Hag worked with him at Ajax and wanted him last year at United. Obviously, they went for Martinez instead. But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure Erik ten Hag, if he had the money, would want him again this summer. But yeah, brilliant sign for Arsenal. I've seen. I don't really watch much of Ajax, but I've seen from Ajax fans always singing his praises on Twitter. So must be good. But who knows? We'll see next season. Okay, that moves on to my top 2. I mean, yeah, I think I've got this pretty spot on. I think Liverpool finished second. Brilliant additions of Szoboszlai and McAllister. Brilliant additions. McAllister's brilliant last year for Brighton. Brilliant in the World Cup for Argentina. Just proved that he's ready to move up to a top 6 club. Yeah, he was really good last year. So that's a brilliant signing. Then Szoboszlai, he was brilliant for RB Leipzig. Really good signing for Liverpool. Yeah, and I just think adding Szoboszlai and McAllister to already Liverpool's amazing attack with Gakpo, Salah, Diaz, Nunez. I know Nunez is a bit questionable, but I think he'll kick on maybe next year. Yeah, just a brilliant signings to already strong attack. And if they go out and get a CDM as well, really revamp that midfield, they could be challenging next season, which is why I've got them second. Especially if you get Lavia, he's a brilliant midfielder. Obviously, first Man City. I mean, is there any question here? No. Haaland, obviously. I see it. Kyle Walker's leaving, but that won't be much of a blow to them because I've seen him linked to Benjamin Pavard, who I don't really rate, but if Pep wants him, he'll turn him good. I'm convinced. Don't have many players. So, but yeah, that is my Premier League predictions. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But yeah, I think I've got that pretty spot on. But yeah, peace.
But yeah, thank you for watching, boys and girls. Sorry I've had to put you through Harvey's predictions, but at least you've had my phenomenal predictions. Have a good one, and we'll see you later.